UPSC aspirants. This is important because in the last 24 hours we've seen that there has been a sea change in the atmosphere of the geopolitical situation in the Iran-US war. And why it is important is because President Trump had threatened that the whole civilization will be finished. The Iranian civilization, he meant, yesterday. And then last night, 8 o'clock US time, was the deadline that he had given when they should open the Strait of Hormuz. And then Pakistan stepped in, and President Nawaz Sharif, Shahbaz Sharif, he went in and tried to clobber a deal, and Asif Munir was also a part of the deal. So there are some things which were agreed on, and the 10-pointer that Iran had suggested, in which they would be allowed to keep the possession of the Strait of Hormuz, then the maritime security of the Strait of Hormuz would be open for the next 2 weeks till a settlement is reached, and then there would be ceasefire from both sides, as reiterated by President Trump. Was also something that was agreed on. Then the China and Russia vetoed the UNSC resolution, asking for the permanent reopening of the Strait of Hormuz. They vetoed it because they thought that there was too much pressure from the US. So they vetoed it, and so it did not go through. Then there are some other points which you will have to understand. In science and technology part of UPSC, in nuclear physics, it's the state where a nuclear fuel sustains a fission chain reaction at a constant level. So any harm to the nuclear fuel or the nuclear plants is going to create havoc in Iran, and that is something that can be a question. What happens if the US strikes them, and what is the scientific basis for any such reaction? So in this space, there might be a question. So apart from geopolitics, where yesterday the ceasefire was reached and it's a geopolitical situation, there is also a possibility of a science and technology question of the nuclear fission, because it's a relevant thing. The third is the economy and energy security part. So oil prices fell the moment the ceasefire was announced, and it's a very refreshing thing, because the current account deficit of India looked very critical, and this is a relief when the oil prices came down. However, the 15-day energy emergency is something which, if sustained, will be good. Otherwise, the world is going to be in an energy emergency kind of a situation, because the global supply chains are in a very fragile condition. So I think international north-south transport corridor and India-Middle East-Europe economic corridor will be needed to bypass the choke points, as in the case of the Strait of Hormuz, where Iran is creating the choke point. And obviously so, because that is the main advantage that Iran holds in the geopolitical situation, that currently it cannot simply fight America and Israel put together. It needs something to bargain, and the Strait of Hormuz, from where 20% of the world's oil passes through, is something that is the only bargaining point that it has. It's a vantage point for Iran. So these are some things which I think you should go into more detail on. After 39 days, why did Trump agree to this ceasefire while he was crying hoarse last evening, on how they would finish Iran, and how it would be the fight to finish. Whereas, why was Israel resisting any such ceasefire is something that you will need to analyze. Please read the Hindu and Indian Express and try to find a paragraph of, let's say, 500 words on the analysis of this whole thing till now. So the 10-point program, why the war started, what were the actual intentions of the war, whether it was Israel who started the war or whether it is US who instigated, what is Pakistan's role, what is India's role, how did India lose from this and how did India gain from this, why is India's energy condition better than the rest of the world, and all these points, 500 words, please go ahead and write. It's a possibility that this question might be there in your UPSC paper this year. So thank you very much. Signing out for today.